Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Fabrizio Romano here as always to keep you posted on the transfer market. And today, guys, we have to talk about one of the biggest bombas of the summer transfer window. Julián Álvarez taking his position. It's a big bomb. The developments, what happened, what's going on behind the scenes, and much more. We jump into it together. And guys, we have to mention the quote released by Julián Álvarez right after the Argentina game. Argentina beat Austria. Leo Messi make history, 2 more World Cup goals, the best goal scorer in the history of the World Cup. So a beautiful day for Argentina. But after the game, Julián Álvarez first doing a normal interview saying, I feel good physically, I recovered from my small injury, I'm ready to help the team. So talking about the World Cup. And then after being in a dressing room, Julián comes out, speaks in public and says, I want to leave Atlético Madrid. A very strong, powerful statement by Julián Álvarez. A very big quote by Julián Álvarez, because he added more about the situation. He said, I spoke to the people I had to speak to Atlético Madrid. We had a direct conversation. We had direct talks with Atlético Madrid. And the message, Julián Álvarez says, it's been quite clear. I want to leave Atlético Madrid. It's the best thing for everyone involved, says Julián Álvarez, meaning himself and meaning the club. So a very strong position by Julián, who also said, I want to be transparent, I want to be clear, I don't want to hide. And so after a few weeks since the first official bid sent by Barcelona, Julián Álvarez says, I want to leave, and then a crucial quote, I want to fulfill my dream. And that dream is to have the opportunity to join Barcelona. This is the position of Julián Álvarez. So, Julián didn't mention Barcelona in the interview, but I'm saying that because you remember around the Champions League final, I was sharing with you exclusively the first official bid sent by Barcelona, 100 million euros. That story was very big. Then Atlético Madrid reacted also on their social media by mentioning some jokes against, of course, Barcelona, against their bid, against the desire of the player to leave. So they were taking their own position. Now, Julián Álvarez, after a few weeks, decides to go public and to go very big by mentioning that he wants to leave Atlético Madrid. Julián Álvarez says that he had a direct conversation, and it's true. Julián Álvarez spoke directly to the most important people at Atlético Madrid, and he said very clearly that his desire is not to continue at the club. The relationship between Diego Simeone and Julián Álvarez became very cold over the recent months, and parties involved in this story on player side believe that to continue together with the difficult relationship between Simeone and Julián Álvarez, and also with the player desire to leave, now made public, and so even more complicated to think about continuing together. On the other side, Atlético Madrid have their own reasons. Atlético Madrid have the right to do whatever they want. Julián Álvarez has a contract at Atlético Madrid, so Atlético can go to war with Julián Álvarez and say, you have a contract, you have to stay here. So it's absolutely what Atlético Madrid want. They can do whatever they want. I mean, it's on Atlético's power. At the same time, to see the player going public and take this position, it's obviously a big part of this story. So in football in general, when there are these situations, when there are these cases, at the beginning, you might react like you have to stay here, but at the end, probably, as Julián said, usually the solution that makes sense for everyone is to take the money, reinvest, and let the player go. Now, Atlético Madrid are playing their game because obviously they can have a preference about where they want to sell Julián Álvarez. Maybe not in Spain, and they could prefer to sell Julián Álvarez abroad. At the same time, the player, from what I'm told, already had a verbal agreement with Barcelona on contract terms when Barcelona sent the 100 million euros official bid 2 days before the Champions League final. I think it was a Thursday with the Champions League final on Saturday. On that day, when Barcelona sent the official bid, 100 million euros, and it was rejected by Atlético Madrid, in that moment, the verbal agreement on contract terms with Julián Álvarez was already done. So Julián Álvarez is ready eventually to go to Barcelona. Between Julián and Barcelona is all set. And since that moment, the contract is ready. So it's not something new on this. Then, the important part to mention is that, obviously, this story now depends on the clubs. Don't forget what Real Madrid did. 2 weeks ago, Real Madrid presented an official statement by announcing a 150 million euros bid for Julián Álvarez, and also in that case, Atlético Madrid reacted by laughing to Real Madrid in that case, after doing the same with Barcelona, and mentioning that they were not going to entertain any bid for a player not for sale, like Julián Álvarez. So now the situation becomes difficult to handle for all parties involved. Because on one side, Atlético Madrid can be relaxed by saying, he's our player, we do what we want. On the other side, the player is saying, okay, but I want to leave. It's the best possibility for everyone. Barcelona were waiting for this. Barcelona knew that Julián Álvarez already for 4 or 5 days was considering to speak in public, was already considering to do that last week. And then this week, after the game, was the best moment to make it in public without any exclusive statement. So Julián decided to go public. For Barcelona, it's a very important gesture, but then, again, Atletico always had a feeling internally that the best solution for them, eventually, if they can keep the player, was to sell the player abroad. Not in Spain, not to Barcelona or Real Madrid. But since that moment, since the bid of Real Madrid, my understanding, I told you in a video here 2 days ago, and during the last 2 weeks, Real Madrid have currently disappeared. Real Madrid didn't return with another official bid. Real Madrid didn't return with another approach to the player. So Real Madrid made that proposal and then didn't appear yet. Barcelona, behind the scenes, keep talking with people close to Julián Álvarez, keep hoping for Atlético Madrid to open doors to an exit, but Atletico, as part of their strategy, can have the possibility to extend this story as long as possible and try to sell Julián eventually only abroad, not in Spain. But remember that the player also has his own say. The player always decides also what to do, and so it's now on Atletico and Julián Álvarez to decide what to do next. So it's going to be a very tense, a very important story. What I can guarantee is that over the last 2 weeks, and I told you in a video 2 days ago, you can find it here on the channel, every single meeting taking place at Barcelona was involving only one name as striker, Julián Álvarez. Barcelona didn't contact any other striker. Barcelona completely stopped all the conversations for João Pedro. Barcelona didn't reach out to other number 9s because Hansi Flick and people at the club are on the same page. They want Julián Álvarez. They have an agreement with Julián Álvarez. And now waiting to understand what happens with Atletico. For sure, the player took his position. For sure, the story is now going to enter into crucial stages to understand in the next weeks what's going to happen. But Julián, by talking in public, a player like Julián, who is not used to this kind of situation. Julián is not kind of player who goes to the press and makes big statements. To see him doing that during the World Cup after the Argentina game means that Julián really wants to go and really believes that his story at Atlético Madrid is over. Now we have to wait and see. For sure, Barcelona are happy with that, and for sure, Barcelona would consider sending a new bid to Atlético Madrid as soon as they understand the situation. But Barcelona were not done with 100 million euros, I told you, and Barcelona keep thinking about Julián Álvarez. On this, guys, and much more, let me know your opinion here in comments, like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. See you soon.